my name is Vanessa and I will be talking about my journey with my critters. So I first purchased my critters on August 21st. I remember the day I went into Petco and I asked them where were the mealworms located, and they told me all the way in the back, and they were in the refrigerator. And so the clerk that was right there was telling me that um, to check the cups because the critters weren't moving. Um, so I kept checking all of these cups one by one, and it looked like none of them were moving. So I was like, I'm just gonna pick one, see what happens. I picked one up, and then when I went to go check it out, the guy at the register told me that you just have to warm them up since they've been in the refrigerator. They've been in sleeping kind of. So I warmed it up. Well, he warmed it up. He put it on the counter and he wiggled it, and it started moving. So okay, I picked a good batch. So I took them home after Petco. And of course, the first thing that I did was, what food do they like? Now, before I researched anything, I wanted to make sure I could be able to play with the different types of foods and textures, and see what foods they like, depending on maybe they don't like the certain texture, maybe they don't like the color, the smell, or the taste. So I started with potatoes. Um, So I cut them into little pieces, into little chunks, as you can see in the picture right there. And they they really liked it a lot. I don't know if it was because when they got on top of the potato, I could just see their heads moving, so they were like maybe sucking the water or the juice out of the potato. So that was a good trial. And then from potatoes, I ran out of potatoes, so I went to the other thing I could find closest to potatoes. So I tried apples. They really liked the apples as well. I think because it was similar to the potato, same texture maybe. I left the skin on both of them, and each time when I would open it back up, the skin would be all that would be left, and it would be dried out. So, of course, I would have to remove that and clean it. Um, and yeah, and so from potatoes, I did potatoes, apples versus strawberries, since I already knew they like potatoes, they like apples. What about strawberries? Strawberries totally has a different texture. And so I put the strawberries on the plate, and I was able to put potatoes. Oh, so sorry. I think there were apples. Yeah, they're apples. I put apples and potatoes on both sides, and I had only one little mealworm wiggle around to the strawberry side, and he was a fan of the strawberries. I thought that was really funny because everybody else, as you can see from the picture, I mean, they were totally going at the apples. Of course, that's all that I've been giving them for my whole journey, so that was their favorite food. So strawberries, you know, not really the best, not really the best food for them, but as you can see here, let me play the video. As you can see here, they just really, really, really like the apples. I mean, they just would. I put them in the middle of the plate, and then it took a while. Of course, it's kind of slow. I left it for a little bit, and then I came back, and I did see that most of them were on that side. Just that one mealworm stayed on the strawberry side. So I thought that was pretty cool. So apples are the winner, as you can see them gnawing at it. See that little guy right there just jumping on top, and they would always do that. Every time I would put them on the plate and feed them, at first I would just keep them in the little cup because I was too scared to take it out. They really, really liked those apples and potatoes. So apples are the winner. Next thing, I kind of was like, what is going on? Because I would open the cup and I would see like black mealworms, like skin of their, like, I think it looked just like the skin, like kind of like a snake. You know how a snake sheds the skin? I was like, do they shed skin or are they drying out? What am I doing wrong? So I researched it, I looked it up, and a couple articles that I found stated that, once they start turning black, that means that they died from, maybe not enough food, or, something happened. So they recommended for you to clean them out, because you don't want to keep the dead ones with the live ones. So I would, this is the picture I took before I cleaned out the cup. As you can see, all the little dead skins in there. It was just so gross. So I used a spoon and I took them out. Once I did that, I figured, okay, well, there's different stages of life. So after I cleaned it out, I realized, okay, there's new kinds of worms or whatever it is in my cup. It is a pupae or pupa, and it's the second, I think it's the second or third stage of life that they go through before they turn into the beetle. And so I thought that was really neat. I started seeing more and more of these. So I started separating the two. This is the picture that I took before I separated them, because it also recommended you to separate the two from each other. So I did that. And then coming from that, the mealworms that I did have left, I did an experiment with them. And my overall experiment, my hypothesis was, if mealworms live under rocks and under other living things, they find their food underneath environmental surroundings. I figured, okay, maybe they would prefer darkness versus light, right? Because they live under rocks and that's how they find their food. They're underneath, so they probably don't like the light. So what I did was I prepared my experiment. My variables, my independent variable was the presence of light, which would be the flashlight. My dependent variable is the mealworm's reaction to the light, and then my constant variable would be the temperature, the location, which is my kitchen, and the amount of light I used. So for this experiment, I had mealworms. I think I had 4 or 5 of them in the picture. I had a white paper plate, a piece of black paper, and a flashlight, and my journal, of course, to write down what is that I was seeing. And I took a video so you guys can see exactly what I did. This is how I had them set up. So you put the flashlight on one side, you cover the plate with the black paper, and then you put the flashlight on one side and see which way they go. And it also took a while for this because, of course, they move kind of slow. So I wanted to say it took about maybe 5 to 10 minutes or so. And here's the video. As you can see, they just started going towards underneath the dark paper, because they don't like the light. So my conclusion was that mealworms do prefer darkness versus light. And I thought that was pretty neat. So that was fun. That was fun to see. And that was the last thing that I did with my mealworms. I had a lot of fun with them. I also took them out and I played with them, see how their reaction would be to I guess texture, to me, me touching them, what their reaction would be to that. And when I would grab it, finally got the courage to grab it, it would just swarm around. I don't think it liked being picked up like that. So I put it back down and I wrote in my journal entry that, they didn't want, at least my mealworms didn't want to be bothered. So overall, I had a really great journey with my critters. I figured out what foods they prefer. I figured out that they prefer dark condition environment over a light condition environment, and they are very sensitive to certain textures. So that was my journey with my mealworms. Thank you.